Hello, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, viewers of all ages. Welcome to the Common Cast, and this will be 1v1, Episode 2. I am moderating this week. My name is Edge, and with me is...
His lovely friend Torque, who just woke up.
And his slightly less lovely friend Gibby.
Now, to recap, 2 weeks ago, we had the first episode of 1v1, and the subject was, should there be a power ranking system in the WWE like there is in the UFC? I won that, so I'm moderating this week, and since I'm moderating, we're going to do something a little different this week. Now, this could be its own show, but I'm going to try it out here. If we like it, we'll see what we do with it. Today, we're going to do Survivor Series Shuffle. This is a game that I explained a very, very long time ago to Torque, although it has not come up since until, right now. Now, each of you are going to create a Survivor Series team and then explain to me why it is that their team is going to work. And we're going to do this draft style. So one of you is going to go, then the other person is going to go. And it's back and forth, instead of just one person listing it off and then the other person having the advantage of being able to think about their picks. Your teams need a team captain, ideally a good talker, someone who can be a leader. My example of this would be John Cena. An enforcer, someone who is a big, strong guy who can really turn the tide of a match. I say like Batista or Roman Reigns are my two examples. A technician, someone who's really good in the ring. Daniel Bryan is my example. A flyer, like Rey Mysterio or Neville. Not much more needs to be described there. And one other. So you can fill it in with a big guy, another flyer, another enforcer, but you have to explain how this team is going to work well together. And I will tell you which team I believe is better than the other at the end.
Okay, and are we picking just current wrestlers on the main roster?
You can pick from any time period, from any promotion.
Ooh.
Although I will tell you if it is somebody that I have not heard of. Odds are I've heard of them, though. I've been binging on the network recently. So I even found myself watching WCW matches.
I gotta write this down. Alright.
And we're gonna do it draft style, so I can tell you, which one you're picking. And also, I get to tell you who's gonna go first. Now, who's gonna go first for picking their team captain is Gibby. Alright. Feel free to go.
Alright, my team captain is Hulk Hogan.
Okay, and tell us why.
Hulk Hogan because he is obviously one of the most popular wrestlers of all time for many different reasons. A vast majority of reasons, not all of them good, but he's still the most popular wrestler of all time. You know what he brings besides wrestling? He brings the star power to the match, so that when you say Hulk Hogan is at Survivor Series, that ties people in to want to watch the match. And then on the other side, to be more specific, I'm picking WWF era Hulk Hogan. So that's when he's all big, muscular, roided out, 300 pounds. So he's also a big man to go with it.
All right. Now, Trevor, pick a team captain.
My team captain's gonna be Chris Jericho. I mean, there's the obvious reasons. I mean, he's pretty big in the WWE. He is fantastic on the mic, and he wrestles really good. Plus, he can see him as a team captain, as an underdog. I mean, Hulk Hogan is big and ripped, whereas Chris Jericho isn't big and ripped, but he's pretty muscular, but he still looks like not such a Daniel Bryan, but more like a Daniel Bryan. He's more of an underdog in the story. And seeing Chris Jericho would be fantastic to perform at Survivor Series.
All right. Both of those, good picks. Now we are moving on to our enforcers. We'll continue with what we're doing. Gibby, who is going to be your strongman of your team?
Well, my strongman to back up Hulk Hogan, who's really a strongman in and of himself, it's Andre the Giant. Once again, I'm looking at big name stars, and I know what you're thinking. Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant. Well, they're literally sworn enemies. Used to be friends, good quality storyline, and Hulk Hogan body slamming Andre the Giant at WrestleMania 3 is probably one of the most iconic WWE wrestling moments in history. But you can tie that back in a storyline where Andre the Giant's alive and Hulk Hogan is obviously not a racist. You can tie that to a storyline where they become friends again, and then that's kind of how you can bring that back to more star power for people who want to watch the match. Especially if they remember or watched WrestleMania 3. That would be a big deal to see Andre the Giant and Hulk Hogan team up again.
All right, good pick. Torque?
All right, so I chose the Big Show, and to be more specific, I chose 2000 Big Show, when he was interesting. I chose the Big Show obviously because he's big, like Andre the Giant, and back in 2000 he was really good and intimidating, and it was hard to beat the Big Show. I mean, John Cena had to cheat with brass knuckles for the U.S. Championship at one point. But the Big Show is a pretty big name in the WWE. He's just getting very old anymore. But I do think he will bring in attention to it. Plus, I mean, even if you don't know the Big Show and you just see him, I mean, you're going to be astonished by the size. And I don't know what my other comment was going to be, but yeah.
All right, well, I like this so far because we have the dream matchup of Andre the Giant versus the Big Show. So far, I'm liking this. All right, so next, you need a technician, someone who is technically proficient in the ring. Gibby, who is your technician?
Well, I have he's kind of an in-between, so I'll leave it up to your judgment whether, because he's a technician and he's also a high flyer. It's Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Because he is known for his high-flying moves, or at the time, that were really awesome, but he was a good technical wrestler. His match with Randy Savage at WrestleMania 3 as well. Like, there was high-flying moves, and there was good wrestling also. Like, wrestling that holds up to today's lofty standards. So, he's my technician. And also, once again, kind of like Hulk Hogan, he's an in-betweener because he fits both categories. But, thanks, Torque.
Oh, sorry.
But, yeah, so I mean, if you agree with me, Ricky Steamboat's my technician.
All right, I'm seeing the time period that you're picking from as well.
Exactly, you're seeing what I'm putting down.
Like, I'm noticing the mid '90s trend from Gibby, and I'm noticing the Attitude Era trend from Trevor. That being said, and I keep going back and forth on Trevor and Torque, I think that's kind of like that Pandora's box has been opened already.
Oh, well.
All right, so now, Torque, who is your technician?
Well, I chose Eddie Guerrero. I mean, he is fantastic in the ring, and I love watching him every time obviously he's not in the ring anymore, but every pay-per-view that he's in, I love watching him in the ring. Plus, Eddie also brings in attention like a team captain like Chris Jericho would. So, I mean, you see Eddie Guerrero, I mean, the Latino heat is and he's the Latino heat, and he's just fantastic. He's fun on the mic. He's fun to just watch, and He's a funny guy as well, which I really like.
All right, good points, good points. Okay, so now you both need to pick a flyer. Now, noticing the trend from Gibby, I am wondering who he's going to pick for a flyer, because as far as like the trend that Torque has got going, there's plenty of flyers to pick from. I'm curious who you're going to pick for this flyer.
All right, well, mine is once again, well, depending on the era, he could either be a strongman technician or a high-flying technician. So, once again, there's a little bit of grayness here, but my high flyer, the guy that I would want to do the high-flying moves, is late 80s, early 90s Macho Man Randy Savage. And, once again, you're drawing the parallels. It's the same time period. All four guys were in the WWF at the same time, and really that's what my team is going around, because these are two WrestleMania 3 matches that happened that are probably in most people's top 10 like matches overall for overall quality. Yeah, and these are four guys, two each, that had heated matches and that are coming back, making up their differences to face each other in a Survivor Series match. Or to team up to face another team in a Survivor Series match. A little bit of nostalgia for you.
All right, and the trend is definitely attractive if I'm promoting this match. This is going to be a very good battle of the ages, old versus new, or old versus new-ish, even though it was like 15 years ago, the time period we're picking from here. All right, so, Torque, who's going to be your high flyer?
Well, I'm going to screw that up because I chose Neville. I know you used him as an example, but I still like Neville. And the reason I chose Neville is, well, obviously he's a high flyer and he's very quick and he's very fun to watch. And plus, no one kicks out of the Red Arrow. No one has kicked out of the Red Arrow yet. So, I mean, if he hits that in a match, I mean, they're going to be pinned 1, 2, 3 unless someone interrupts. So, I mean, if you have him with a finisher no one kicks out of, then, I mean, that would really help the team because, I mean, you know, you can work together. You know, someone's in, they beat him up, set him up, Red Arrow, bam, out. And then plus Neville is he's just so quick. Like, if you put him if you, like, grapple him against the rope, chances are Neville's going to win that rather than the opponent just because of how quick he is with his moves, like, and I love seeing his kicks as well. But yeah, I chose Neville.
All right. So, again, you don't have to stick to like a time period trend. You can pick anybody from any time period, so that's fine. Now, this one is where it kind of like comes down to your personal preference, who you think could round out this team really well, and it's the one other pick. This can be anybody. I kind of describe it as the dark horse, maybe if you had a mystery partner, this would be the guy that would come out when the match actually starts. Who is that guy that's going to round out your team? Gibby?
All right, well, to preface this real quick, I've been trying to find a place because I really want to get him in there, Shawn Michaels. This whole time, I've wanted to find a place for Shawn Michaels, but, I mean, I couldn't do it because I wanted to stick to a certain time period and, so that the storylines could remain, somewhat, entertaining and they could feasibly go together. And Shawn Michaels is just barely out of that timeline. So, I couldn't find a place for him. But my pick, my dark horse, and, one way you could look at it is he's very dark, or he's the most obvious pick that, could come from what I've already set up. It's The Undertaker.
I kind of anticipated that one.
This is... Obviously it works because this is his 25 years Survivor Series. He's been in the company 25 years. So he debuted in the Survivor Series match. Debuted whatever, he in the Survivor Series match, and like really, if I'm picking a greatest of all time, it's between Undertaker and someone else, but I'm not gonna say that someone else right now, because then we'll just shoot off in a complete tangent. But so not picking the Undertaker here, and he fits the time period. He fits the time period because that's right when he's debuted, whatever, his right when it's his time period. He he debuted in Survivor Series. He cheated to beat Hulk Hogan for the WWE Championship twice. Two different times he tombstoned Hulk Hogan onto a steel chair and won, and during a singles match, while the ref was turned. So there's that rivalry that the two are getting over, are burying the hatchet so that they can wrestle. So that's my 5.
All right. Like, looking at this is a really solid team. Like, if I'm a promoter, this is the team that I'm putting on my posters. Trevor, what is your follow-up? Who's going to be your dark horse for your match?
Okay, my dark horse isn't exactly a big name, but he brings a lot of personality and just a lot of things to the table, and I'll explain that in a minute. I chose Jeff Hardy. Now, the reason, I know what you're thinking. Oh, he's just kind of average, you know. He wasn't top of the line on the main roster, I guess. I mean, maybe he was, but he was definitely better as a tag team. But anyway, when he comes out, I mean, he's just a rock star, you know. He brings out just this personality that the audience loves and just loves to see. Plus, I like seeing him wrestle, and he brings a lot of dangerous moves to the table, like Santon, is that what it's called? Swanton from like the top ladder onto the table. I mean, he brings a lot of dangerous moves. So if you bring Jeff Hardy in, I mean, you have the personality, you have the insane fireworks at the beginning. He's just different, you know, and then also you get that dangerous factor that Jeff Hardy is going to do something wicked, crazy somewhere in the match to put someone away. So, yeah, I chose Jeff Hardy. I didn't stick with a time period like Gibby here, but yeah.
Okay, so that being said, is that obviously I have my own team in mind, and since the moderator should give their opinion on this, my team, very briefly, would have been DDP would have been my team captain, because DDP is the kind of guy who he's likable. You couldn't hate DDP even if you tried, and he saved Jake Roberts' life. His DDP yoga is keeping wrestlers wrestling. He's the kind of guy who I can picture as a team captain. My enforcer would be Batista. There's a reason I gave him as an example, because this guy's just a beast. He's the animal. And I'm talking about mid-2000s Batista. I'm not talking about the WrestleMania 30 Batista, the kale drinking, no longer the animal guy. I'm talking about the animal. Post-evolution, that guy. Because he's going to rip somebody's head off, and it's going to happen. My technician is probably one of the greatest technicians who's ever stepped in the ring, and that's Kurt Angle. Again, kind of a gray area. He very well could be a strong man on his own, but this guy has got a wrestling brain like nobody's business. And obviously I have the almost cliche but effective flyer that is Rob Van Dam, because who doesn't like the 5-star frog splash? And my dark horse, to coincide with my team captain, would have been Jake Roberts. So that's my Survivor Series team, just off the top of my head. Now we will go into my thoughts on your teams. Gibby. First,
Yes.
The time trend works very well. Like, all of these guys, based on the storyline that you gave me, I could see them working together. Survivor Series teams in general, they don't always have to have a reason that they're working together, but when they do have a reason, it's all the better. Second, every one of these guys is solid performers on their own. Like, that was something that I was noticing, is that you could put any of these two guys against each other, and it would have been a solid match. And finally, it's filled with icons. Like, you got Hulk Hogan in there, for the love of God. You got The Undertaker. This is a very star-studded team.
It's a promoter's dream.
It is a promoter's dream. That's actually exactly how I would describe it. Torque. You have a very mixed team that covers pretty much every area I could think of as far as, like, personalities. Like, you got Chris Jericho, who, holy crap, he could talk anybody down. He even talked down The Rock. You got 2000 Big Show, which was a monster. Eddie Guerrero and Jeff Hardy and Neville, all flyers, are going to bring an insane amount of risk to their team. So if you ever need a high spot, your team is going to cover it. It's definitely got attitude. Like, that's how I would describe it. You got a lot of attitude era guys in there. Now, if I were to pit these two teams against each other, I feel like Gibby's would come out on top. Now, I'm not going to just leave it hanging there. I'm going to explain why. Now, I mentioned that Gibby's team is a bunch of solid singles competitors on their own, and they have a storyline to back them up working together. As far as Torque's team, this isn't really the problem that there wasn't a time trend with these guys. I'm not going to hold it back for that, but these guys, it seems like there might be an issue with them working together. Of course, Chris Jericho really likes to seal the show. Big Show is prone to heel turns at any given moment. We saw that in last year's Survivor Series. Eddie Guerrero and Neville, I could see them working well together, but Jeff Hardy, you mentioned, he works best with Matt Hardy. So without having Matt Hardy in here, I feel like he would be kind of at a disadvantage. This is a solid team, though. Like, I'm saying that you could pit this team up against a lot of other teams and it would have won. But the team that Gibby has put together here, coupled with the time trend and the storyline, I feel like would come out on top. So, the second winner of 1v1 is Gibby. Congratulations.
Gibby?
Gibby?
Well, I'd like to thank all the wrestlers for becoming awesome. I'd like to thank for my mic for cutting out and giving me time to think of this response. And, most of all, I'd like to thank you, Edge, and your great, superb, top-of-the-line moderating skills.
Well, thank you, Gibby. And Trevor, solid team. In fact, if we were to put our two teams against each other, that would be a match I would want to see solely from the faces that are there.
Yeah, me too. Fucking Gibby.
All right, so
Gibby thought
next
about
week,
this. I know it.
well, not next week, but next time we do this, it'll be Gibby moderating, and me and Torque will go at it again. Round 2.
Okay.
So, thank you for watching, everybody. Feel free to give that like button a nice bionic elbow, or to get, since we got Hulk Hogan as the team captain of the winning team, feel free to drop an atomic leg drop on it. And be sure to subscribe for all the videos that you could potentially want to see in your day-to-day lives. We talk wrestling all the time, so if you like wrestling, this is your one-stop shop for every kind of wrestling video that you could want. I think we even have some gameplay videos behind our podcasts. So there you go. Thank you for watching, and we will ride off into the sunset and see you soon.